My name is Stacey Bell, and I'm Youth Development Director at Sac City Unified School District, and I've been there a little bit about my positionality and sort of where I come from in this work. I've been in the position of Youth Development Director since 2010, which was our first year running summer learning programs out of our office. And so we're now going to be entering our 5th year of summer learning opportunities out of my office. And a little bit about my office: I run the Youth Development Department, which has not only expanded learning, but also youth engagement services, foster youth, and targeted prevention and intervention. So kind of really looking at whole child, whole year. And our expanded learning place and space is really an opportunity to dig into what that looks like for our students. I mentioned the word positionality, and so for me, I have been with Sac City Unified School District since 2001, when I had an incoming kindergartner who is now teaching in one of our middle schools. It's her first year. So been around learning in Sac City Unified for many, many years. And when I entered Sac City Unified, I wasn't an administrator or middle class or having access to enrichment. So this really resonates with me in terms of low income. I was on welfare, I had food stamps, I was a teen parent, I had a child who did not have access to high quality learning during the summer. And so I think that positionality really drives our desire for the work that we do in the summer. And some of our focus is a little different from what we heard about in the RAND report, I think. For example, when we started summer learning, it was because we didn't have access to summer school anymore. It was, especially California, we know 2010 there were no summer school, very little summer school opportunities for our young people. And so we really started at a base level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How do we keep kids safe? How do we make sure kids eat? How do we make sure that kids have access to community educators and teachers during the summer? And we started with about 400 students in the middle school transitional space. So grew from that to this last summer served around 4,000 students. So definitely have seen an investment on the part of our district in summer learning, and appreciate the power of that and the connectedness that our young people are feeling. So I have notes because I was furiously scribbling during Catherine's presentation. So our focus, as I mentioned, is a little different. 3 goals that we have in Sac City Unified is really looking at summer learning loss, so not necessarily measuring gain of students, but how do we ensure that our students are not falling further behind in both math and in ELA. And then a really intentional focus on decreasing dropout, so especially around those transitional ages. So we do serve incoming 1st through 12th graders, but we really have a focus, and our programs first started with our middle school and then our transitioning middle and our transitioning high school age programs with an intentionality around reducing dropout. And then the third piece was, for us, childhood obesity. How do we make sure that children are active and engaged in enrichment activities and really eating and being healthy during the summer space as well, especially in communities of color and low-income communities. We know that it can be a huge concern for our students, especially over the summer. Our department has a framework of social justice youth development, so we're really intentionally looking at 5 areas coming out of Sean Jimwright's work around social justice, which are youth identity as central, embracing youth culture, analyzing power in social relationships, promoting systemic social change, and encouraging collective action. And so this, for us, is not just something that happens in the secondary school space, but even with our elementary school students, how are we intentionally doing thematic and project-based learning and thinking about social justice even at their age. And I think that then impacts the types of data we're collecting in regards to their growth or their loss during the summer. We really look at summer as our transformative space, with an intentional, again, focus on authentic youth leadership. We're targeting not only low-income students and students of color, but oftentimes our most marginalized students. And so we're especially in the higher grades focusing on foster youth, intentional recruitment for foster youth, intentional recruitment for students that are on probation, intentional recruitment for boys and men of color or young men of color. We were able to see that our demographic data for summer matched our demographic data for the school year, and we had equal number of females and males enrolled in our summer programming, which was really exciting for us, especially at the higher grades. And then also, I mentioned thematic learning and project-based learning, so really looking at Common Core state standards, how are we engaging not only students, but a huge aha for us was how are we engaging teachers in that and giving them, even teachers, opportunity to practice that highly collaborative and engaging learning, which I think credentialed teachers are learning from our expanded learning educators, right? Because our expanded learning folks know that in order for students to come back after school, programming has to be highly engaging, and I think that that's been a real plus for our teachers to get that experience as well. And then social-emotional learning. So we are part of the Collaborative for Academic and Social-Emotional Learning, which is a collaboration of 8 districts around the country. And so the 5 areas of competency that we're looking for in SEL are a little different from RAND, but we're excited to talk more, kind of dig deeper in what that looks like so we can align some of that data. The 5 areas that CASEL looks at are self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, and self-management. And so we're collecting data. Last year we were able to do some rubrics, and similar to RAND did, it sounded like have the teachers assess where their students were in terms of their SEL competencies. So we'll be excited to see what that looks like in the future in terms of growth for our students. Excited to hear about the dosage. We are serving students for 6 hours a day. We've expanded to 7 weeks, and we run Monday through Thursday, so 28 days of programming for our students during the summer, and that is, again, incoming 1st through 12th grade. Different options depending on the program that the students are involved in. And then some of our just kind of internal findings are data around school connectedness, really important when we're thinking about dropout rates, and how do we ensure that our students are staying connected and staying engaged, especially through those transitional periods of their education. We just changed, and I'm sure district folks, if you're here, will understand the importance of your student information system. So we just got a new student information system, so are excited to now look at some more longitudinal data, especially around behavior, chronic absence, and attendance, and of course the academic data for our students, but quite honestly haven't done as great a job because of our lack of an information system as we would have liked in terms of longitudinal impact on students that have either participated or not participated in summer learning programs. And I mentioned SEL as well, preliminary findings, noticing that students are scoring higher on at least those 5 SEL competencies that we're measuring currently. And so I hope that gives you sort of a framework for what we're doing in Sac City, and I know I had 5 minutes, so.
You're good.
I'm good. Thanks, Katie. Thank you.
Thank you so much.